Hey folks, how we doing? It's the Cam Rogers Show on this April 13th, 2018. I'm Cam Rogers, episode 90 of the program. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. I've got you covered for the next hour, getting your Friday started. If you're just waking up with me, well, we do appreciate you guys chiming in and hitting us up in the comments section. We always do love to hear what you guys have to say. So we're going to start things off, as always, with the latest NFL headlines. A lot of juicy headlines to get through. And as you guys hit up those comments, I'll be sure to give you guys shout-outs, by the way. And the first shout-out goes to Tyler. Right there, first comment. Do appreciate that, Tyler. I got some news on Odell Beckham Jr. Dez Bryant versus Jerry Jones. It's going down today. I have my top 5 teams for Dez if he is indeed cut. I'm going to go team by team, let you know which ones out there are the best fit for him if he is indeed released from the Dallas Cowboys, which I feel, from what I understand, is a very real possibility. Then we're getting you set for the NBA playoffs. We'll start things off with a little LeBron James. Look ahead to free agency, where he could sign after the playoffs are concluded. And then, of course, a look ahead to the playoffs. Look at the picture, the graphic of the bracket in terms of the matchups. 1 seed, 8 seed, etc., and I'll talk about every team and what they need to do to be successful as we look ahead to one of the more anticipated NBA playoffs that I can remember. So very excited to break down all of the matchups. All right, let's get into the latest NFL headlines here. We'll start things off with Colin Kaepernick. Now, how about this story? The Seahawks reportedly canceled an impending workout with Kaepernick. Now, this was first reported by Adam Schefter that the Seattle Seahawks canceled a planned workout with Cap, and Cap reportedly didn't rule out kneeling during the 2018 season, and the Seahawks responded as such by canceling the workout that was planned, I believe it was on Monday. Now, the Seattle's brass is considering a visit still, and no final decision has been made just yet. The Seahawks had contacted Kaepernick about a couple of weeks ago to arrange a visit to the team's headquarters, but after tentative agreements were made and arrangements were made in terms of travel, etc., that trip was obviously abruptly canceled. So everything was kind of stacked for this workout to happen, for this visit to happen. And then apparently the Seahawks wanted some sort of information in terms of Colin Kaepernick's plan in regards to the national anthem, kneeling and all of this, and Kaepernick really didn't give a firm answer. So that is what we understand and what we know here. This story also comes at the same time safety Eric Reed, who kneeled with Kaepernick in San Francisco, was asked about kneeling from the Bengals, who brought him in for a visit, and Reed is still a free agent out there looking for his next team. The Seahawks obviously need a quarterback after they recently cut Trayvon Boykin, and I think Kaepernick makes a lot of sense to me. Now, I personally am wondering why Kaepernick is refusing to rule out kneeling, considering he once said that he wasn't going to do it anymore. So in that vein, I'm kind of curious here, if Kaepernick once said that he will not kneel anymore, but now he's just kind of in between that, now I'm starting to get a little curious about what is happening in this situation here. Now, for Colin Kaepernick, there are a couple of reports in terms of some, shall we say, inconsistencies. So Adam Schefter reported one thing, and what I just mentioned was essentially what Adam Schefter reported. Now, if you guys are just tuning into the Cam Rogers Show, I just saw an influx of audience members coming on in. We welcome you on this Friday morning. Hit me up in the comments section, by the way, pretending that you're a GM. Would you sign Colin Kaepernick? The story is that the Seahawks abruptly canceled their planned workout with Colin Kaepernick because Kaepernick refused to rule out kneeling during the national anthem. Now, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network tweeted the following, quote, Seattle's brass, John Schneider and Pete Carroll, want Colin Kaepernick to consider how he wants to proceed on everything, not just the anthem, and get together at a later date when his plans are formed. Clearly, Seattle has accepted players speaking out for what they believe. So in a sense, we have a clash here, folks, of media outlets in terms of the reporting. We've got Schefter on one side saying it was simple. Colin Kaepernick refused to rule out kneeling during the national anthem. Ian Rapoport is kind of portraying this, well, it's more complex. There are more layers to all of this. Now, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk pointed this out. Ian Rapoport works for NFL Network, right, which, is a part of the NFL. And perhaps, Ian Rapoport is kind of siding with the NFL side of things, whereas ESPN and Pro Football Talk and these other outlets are kind of looking in a different direction in terms of the story. You know how they say there are three sides to every story? Yours, mine, and the truth. We're getting the yours and mine right now. Perhaps the truth is still out there. But we'll see how this all shakes out, and Colin Kaepernick still looking for a new destination out there. Want you guys hitting me up in the comments section, letting me know about Kaepernick, because obviously this is a really important topic here. We're talking about an NFL that is in desperation for quality quarterback play. You got the Bradys, the Breezes of the world, but when you have Scott Tolzien and Tom Savage starting under center, that is a bad thing for the ratings that obviously are not doing very well. Now, just looking at the comments here, Jerry Williamson, Cap deserves a job. We've got Constantine saying leave Cap out of the NFL. Let's see, who else we got here? We got Tyler. If he stops kneeling, he's a solid backup. And like I said, he said that he was going to stop kneeling and perhaps, deliver his message in a different way rather than during the national anthem. And I thought that was kind of his plan, and maybe that would help him find a new team. But the other thing I didn't even mention here, he's got an ongoing collusion case against the National Football League. He was just recently deposed by NFL lawyers in terms of this case, and they're trying to really gather what kind of evidence Colin Kaepernick has. All right, we got Alex chiming in just saying, hell no. Jerry saying he's a good backup. Who else is chiming in here? We got Tony. Some of you still don't get the meaning of the kneeling was about. So like I said, many, many layers to all of this. Now, if we're talking about the NFL here, we're talking about Colin Kaepernick, who is essentially an employee of the National Football League. So a lot of people like to draw the comparisons of, working in an office setting, right? And you're being told not to do something because you're in a corporate setting and you have a boss, you have to listen to what the boss says. Now, if you want to go by the bylaws of the NFL, there is no requirement to stand during the national anthem. So Colin Kaepernick, in theory, can do whatever he heck well pleases during the national anthem. Now, the other thing you got to remember is this whole thing is a business. And owners want their wallets to get fatter. They want the paychecks to continue to come in. And we have heard, reports before, such as with the Baltimore Ravens, how the Ravens were once interested in bringing in Kaepernick, perhaps, as a backup to Joe Flacco. That was last year, right? Ozzie Newsome, John Harbaugh did not rule it out. Then, reportedly, Steve Bisciotti was like, whoa, slow your roll there, Ozzie. We're not bringing in Colin Kaepernick because I don't want my wallet to get any thinner because I think, fans aren't going to show up. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks in this recent chapter where they had a planned workout with Colin Kaepernick on Monday and reportedly did not get a firm answer in terms of Colin's plans, in terms of his activism and delivering his message for the 2018 season. And Schneider and Pete Carroll abruptly canceled this workout. Once again, if you're just tuning into the Cam Rogers Show right now, Colin Kaepernick reportedly was going to be in Seattle on Monday, perhaps to be the backup quarterback behind Russell Wilson, and obviously a big-time need for Seattle. I just got word through the wire that they did sign a backup, Stephen Morris, this morning, former Miami quarterback. Shout out Harris, my producer, for giving me that information. But Stephen Morris, I mean, come on. Who knows who Stephen Morris is? Colin Kaepernick has been to a Super Bowl, perhaps one throw away from winning one, if you may recall that Michael Crabtree play in the back of the end zone. So, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure there's no doubt in all of your minds out there, that it's coming down to money. And obviously the collusion case against the NFL really doesn't help Colin Kaepernick either. But there's so much to really parse with all this. And this is going to continue to drag on. And I just hope the guy gets an opportunity to showcase his talents in front of an NFL team. Because I'm sick and tired of watching piss-poor quarterback play anymore. And the ratings show that. So let me know what you guys think about Colin Kaepernick. I see the comments flowing in here. We got Bobby chiming in. We got Ted Williams, my guy, watching the Cam Rogers show, saying hello. Ted, you're saying that he knelt his way out of a job. I understand what he's trying to accomplish, and he has raised awareness, but he should have decided to get a job. So Ted chiming in there. We appreciate you watching the program. Hit me up. Pretend you're a GM. Are you signing Colin Kaepernick today? Let me know, and I'll keep reading the comments here on the Cam Rogers Show because you guys are a part of the show as much as I am. We do appreciate you guys coming along for the ride on this Friday morning. We will revisit this story perhaps later in the show, but of course in future episodes as well. It's one that's really important here because this could set a precedent for future free agents, and we're already kind of seeing it with Eric Reid, etc. So there you go. That's the latest headline there with Colin Kaepernick. Let's check in with a current 49er. Reuben Foster has been officially charged with some gruesome allegations. So the Santa Clara District Attorney's Office officially announced the charges yesterday and said the following, quote, Foster, 24, physically attacked his then 28-year-old girlfriend during a February argument at their Los Gatos home, leaving her bruised with a ruptured eardrum. So the official charge is felony domestic violence of his former girlfriend. 3 total charges here. So 1 felony for the violent act that I just had to discuss there, unfortunately. Another felony for forcefully attempting to prevent the victim from reporting the crime. And a 3rd felony for possessing an assault weapon. Reuben Foster in big-time trouble. The 49ers released a statement yesterday, quote, the 49ers organization is aware of today's, basically yesterday's, disturbing charges regarding Reuben Foster. We will continue to follow this serious matter. Reuben is aware his place in our organization is under great scrutiny and will depend on what is learned through the legal process. So while that legal process is going on, the NFL is doing its own investigation. So Reuben Foster is fighting a two-sided war here between constitutional law and Roger Goodell, right? Where Roger Goodell is probably going to impose a 6-game suspension along with whatever Reuben Foster gets if he is convicted. As you see there, up to 11 years in prison. Guy was a good player in 2017 at the middle linebacker position. Really solid player. And now there could be a situation where he doesn't even see the football field in 2018 if he's in prison. And the 49ers obviously are not cutting him just yet. Perhaps they're going off the principle of innocent until proven guilty. But obviously this is really, really bad. Really bad. Constantine chiming in. So Zeke got 6 games for his allegations and pulling her out of the car. He's out of the league, I guess. So a lot of people like to bring up the Zeke comparison here. And it could be kind of one of those deals where it's a court battle and all this stuff, and it's appeal after appeal after appeal. So I hate talking about negative stuff, but as a host, I feel like you guys need to know some of the headlines of the NFL, and that's one of them. Reuben Foster in big-time trouble. So the 49ers select at number 9 overall, by the way. Going to have to address that linebacker position, whether it's a Tremaine Edmonds, perhaps a Roquan Smith. But there's a big-time hole in the middle of that defense and some really bad charges there for Reuben Foster, who, by the way, had pretty bad, PR going into the NFL draft in 2017. The 49ers knew what they were getting themselves into. All right, and now they have a big-time headache on their hands here. By the way, Kelly in the comments section, thanks for saying good morning. Good morning to you, Kelly. Let's get to the next headline here. All right, so Landry got paid. Talking about Jarvis Landry, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. It's a 5-year, $75.5 million extension, $47 million guaranteed. Landry getting $9 more million. and guarantees than wide receiver Mike Evans, who plays on the outside. Jarvis Landry plays on the slot, on the inside. So Landry was previously scheduled to play out the year under his $15.98 million franchise tag. Obviously, the goal for the Browns from the beginning was to get this guy some security, give him an extension, and get him paid. And GM John Dorsey is known for his big-time payouts, too, and having Landry, I think, is ultra-critical for whoever plays at the quarterback position in 2018. Landry led the NFL in catches last season. He didn't only manage 8.8 yards per reception, tied for 108th in the league. So he's not a downfield threat, to say the least. But I actually think this is a good thing. This is a good thing for the Cleveland Browns on two fronts. Number one, whoever plays rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold, rookie Josh Rosen, whatever the case may be, for the Cleveland Browns will love Jarvis Landry. Love him, because Jarvis Landry is that security blanket. If you're Darnold or Mayfield or Rosen playing for the Cleveland Browns and you're starting in Week 1, 2018, you would love to have Jarvis Landry on your team. And they may have that because, if you're in trouble, if you got to move the sticks, if you are in a 3rd and 4 situation, you're looking at Jarvis Landry to catch that ball. Now, on the other side of things, if Tyrod Taylor is the starter in 2018 in Week 1, he's not exactly a deep ball thrower. So Tyrod Taylor would love the services of Jarvis Landry as well. So I think on two different fronts, it's a positive thing. If there is a rookie quarterback starting for Cleveland, good thing for a rookie quarterback. If Tyrod Taylor ends up being the starter in Week 1, and Hugh Jackson has said that before, then you got Jarvis there, and obviously would be a fantastic fit for Tyrod. So I think this is a really solid deal for Jarvis Landry. Now, whether or not he got overpaid is up for discussion. I'm seeing some comments flowing in here. Michael, I believe, said that he got overpaid for a slot receiver. I think that's kind of the consensus out there. Who else is chiming in? We got Austin. What's up for the top teams with Dez? Austin, thanks for the comment, my man. I will get to Dez and my top 5 teams later in the program. Keep it right here on the video. I'll get to that headline very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. But hit me up in the reaction poll here about Jarvis Landry getting overpaid. So you guys have two options, obviously yes or no in terms of too much money. We're talking about $75.5 million here. So hit me up in the reaction poll. Give me a heart for yes, the Browns overpaid Jarvis Landry. Give me a like for no in the reaction poll. If you want to throw in your thoughts in the comments section, of course, we encourage that as well. Constantine saying Cleveland will be dangerous. Taylor or rookie will get the job done. I'm telling you, Cleveland has the pieces in place now to certainly at least win more than 4 or 5 games. And the bar is really low because we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. And what they have put together on the offensive side with Carlos Hyde and Jarvis Landry, they got a good offensive line with Bitonio and Zeitler there, one of the higher paid guards in the league. Things are starting to trend in the right direction for the Cleveland Browns. And oh, by the way, they're getting a new broadcaster for preseason games. I'll get to that headline in a matter of moments here. But first, some news on Lamar Jackson. Now, the Patriots may be eyeing Lamar for the 2018 NFL Draft. That is my understanding. Now, Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report noted that the Patriots are the most interested in Lamar Jackson. Now, use that information with what you wish. You look at the picks right now for the Patriots, they're at 23 and they're at 31. I don't know if Lamar's going to fall that far, guys. So what the Patriots are going to have to do is use the draft capital that they have and then trade up and try to grab Lamar. Now, the other side of things here is that Tom Brady recently chimed in on Jackson via Instagram, writing the comment, quote, "He's a beast." So to say Lamar has a different style than Brady would certainly be an understatement. He rushed for over 1,500 yards in consecutive seasons. Tom Brady is your prototypical statuesque pocket passer type of quarterback. And Lamar's a playmaker. 57 touchdowns and 19 interceptions in those 2 years that I talked about with the over 1,500 yards rushing. All of that is fine and dandy, and we can talk about how much the Patriots love Lamar, but the reality is they're going to have to make some moves because he's not falling to 23. I'm sorry. So here's what I want you guys to watch out for in terms of the Patriots and Lamar Jackson. The Cardinals select at number 15 overall. The Arizona Cardinals may be interested in bringing him in. Now, if Steve Wilks and Cardinals leadership is satisfied with Mike Glennon and Sam Bradford, I don't know why you would be, then maybe they pass up on Lamar Jackson. Who's after 15? You got the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are a prime trade back candidate. They're also one pick ahead of the Los Angeles Chargers, a team, from what I understand, is very interested in Lamar. So you think about the Patriots trading with the Baltimore Ravens to get to number 16. The Patriots draft Lamar Jackson as perhaps the successor to Tom Brady. To think of that just on its surface is kind of crazy for me because I just don't see Lamar Jackson playing for the Patriots. But hey, maybe the Patriots want to go a different route in terms of quarterback ability here, more of a mobile quarterback, Michael Vick kind of style. So ponder that. As we get closer to the draft, think about maybe the Ravens trading back, because the Ravens being at 16, they might go wide receiver, but I don't think they're going to reach for one. I know they want to go linebacker and edge rusher as well. I don't really think 16 is a good spot for that, because I think the Roquan Smiths and the Tremaine Edmonds of the world are going to be off the board by 16. The Ravens would be just fine trading back and taking 23 or 31 overall and grabbing an offensive lineman. They got to address the center position with Ryan Jensen moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So something to ponder there, some fodder there with Lamar Jackson. Let me know where you think he's going to get drafted, though. What team out there is the best fit for him? I'm hearing the Jaguars a little bit, but again, he just probably won't fall that far. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a big-time run of quarterbacks at the top of the board, and then teams are going to get antsy towards that middle part, like the Chargers. The Chargers are going to get antsy. They're going to see all those quarterbacks off the board. They're going to say to themselves, I got to get Lamar before it's too late. So that's what I think. And, oh, Marcus, I'm just looking at my broadcast. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, Marcus. I'll be talking about Dez Bryant and my top 5 teams coming up very soon. And hint, hint, I will be talking about the 49ers, so stay tuned for that. All right, some Saquon Barkley news. Now, this is interesting. The Browns never brought in Saquon as a part of their current plans. As you see Marcus's comment there at the bottom of your screen. So there you go, Marcus. There's your birthday shout-out, my man. Thanks for watching the show. How about this, though, guys? Saquon has no plans to visit with the Cleveland Browns. Interesting strategy. So the Browns are at number 1 and number 4 overall, respectively. They're going to go quarterback number 1. It's going to be Darnold, it's going to be Rosen, it's going to be Mayfield, Allen, whatever the heck they go in whatever direction. 4 overall is where things get very interesting. All right, so you'd have to assume the Browns will have a crack at Barkley at that slot. But maybe the Browns know something that we don't. Maybe they are already satisfied with what they've seen on tape from Saquon. They don't want to bring him in. And you see there, Bradley Chubb recently told Dan Patrick that he, too, doesn't have any plans to visit with the Cleveland Browns. So people are really talking about this here. Like, number 4 overall, the Browns going to have some sort of strategy. Now, like I said, it's going to be quarterback at number 1. Quarterback at number 3 with the Jets. They traded up for a reason. They're going quarterback at 3. The real question for me, folks, what happens at number 2 overall? We got the Giants slated there right now. I could see the Giants grabbing a Rosen, a Chubb, a Barkley in that slot. But what if the Giants trade back with, say, a more desperate team thirsty for a quarterback, i.e. the Buffalo Bills? Dave Gettleman and Brandon Beane have a relationship with each other. They know each other from their past ties with the Carolina Panthers. Maybe a trade happens there, and the Bills grab a Josh Allen or whoever quarterback they fall in love with. Saquon's going to be there at number 4. So I'm trying to think through, and maybe the other aspect is that the Browns could be content with what they've seen from Chubb and Saquon. Either they're all in on going with one of those players at number 4, or perhaps they just may expect to not see them at all. Maybe they know something where the draft is going to go in a situation where it's quarterback at number 1, of course, on Cleveland's hands, and then maybe the Giants go with Saquon at number 2, and the Jets, for some reason, go with Chubb. I'm trying to reason along with you guys here in terms of why Saquon hasn't been brought in yet. Now, there's plenty of time. It's April 13th. The Jets took forever to bring in Sam Darnold for a workout. So just something to keep in mind here. Let me know where you think Saquon Barkley will go. Justin saying the Giants will take him at 2. We got Bobby saying that the Giants definitely need him. Constantine as well. Giants will take Barkley. All right, so it seems like there's a consensus here on the Cam Rogers Show that the Giants are going to take Saquon at number 2. Maybe the Browns know that, and that's why they haven't brought him in. Appreciate the comments, guys. Keep them coming. Mention that there's a new broadcaster for the Cleveland Browns, at least for the preseason games. How about this, guys? TBT, Tim Couch, the former savior, or at least they thought, of the Cleveland Browns back in 1999, that first overall pick. And he will be an analyst for the preseason games for the Cleveland Browns. There you go, Tim Couch. As you see there, the Browns went 22-37 in Couch's starts with the team, which is 21 more wins than what the Browns have produced the last 2 years. So there's that, I guess. But Tim Couch back in the headlines out there. He'll be a broadcaster. How about this with former Cleveland saviors, if you will? Couch is now a broadcaster. Oh, no, yeah, Brady Quinn is an analyst, I believe, for Fox Sports. Am I wrong? So all these former Cleveland quarterbacks here are getting broadcasting jobs out there. Is Brandon Weeden next? Who's next to be a broadcaster from the Cleveland Browns camp there, former draftees? So we'll see what happens. Proud of you, Tim Couch. You're now a broadcaster, my man. Welcome to the family. All right, that's the latest there. Let's go with a recent visit here that happened. Kenny Vaccaro, free agent safety, visited with the Miami Dolphins. From what I understand, they are expected to offer him a 1-year prove-it deal. Now, the safety market has been kind of quiet so far. You know, you've been hearing about Eric Reed, still waiting on Trey Boston, where he could go, former Los Angeles Charger there. You see, Vaccaro really wasn't all that great a year ago, did face his fair share of injuries. Now, Miami does have T.J. McDonald on a 4-year deal. He plays a similar style as Kenny Vaccaro. He's a hard-hitting safety, so it's an interesting kind of story here, but maybe Vaccaro could be more of a depth option for that secondary for Miami, obviously a secondary that's going to have to get better. Corners did not play very well a year ago either, and when you're facing Tom Brady twice a year at least, you got to work on that back end. All right, so Kenny Vaccaro likely to join the Dolphins on a 1-year deal. That visit, by the way, went down yesterday. All right, so let's go with the next headline here. Tom Brady expected to miss the first day of conditioning and off-season workouts for the New England Patriots. No, it's not because of some contract or feuding with Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft. Trust me, I would love to report that and talk about that for minutes on end. Don't at me, Patriots fans. But no, he's leaving for Qatar to do work with his charity, Best Buddies, and it's likely that he will not make it back in time on April 16th, on Monday for those workouts. So really a non-story here. Just want to let you guys know, if you hear about Tom Brady missing practice and off-season workouts, that's why. He's doing some good stuff there for Best Buddies. All right, this guy didn't do so good recently. So Vontaze Burfict has been suspended. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the 2018 season. So, guys, you know that saying? Death, taxes, Vontaze Burfict getting suspended. This time for PEDs, and this was obviously already part of the NFL headlines out there. This was reported like 3 months ago, but Burfict did appeal. He lost the appeal. It's now official. He will miss the first 4 games of 2018. So the Cincinnati Bengals obviously missing a key part of the middle of that defense there for the first 4 games. Vincent Ray could see an increased role. I know they like the 2017 6th-round pick Jordan Evans there to join Nick Vigil, as well as Preston Brown, who's coming on over from the Buffalo Bills. He was the Bills' leading tackler a year ago. So expect him to kind of be in the fray with those players. So when his 4-game suspension is over, how about this, guys? Burfict will have missed 33 of the Bengals' last 70 games with suspensions and injuries. So, yeah, not obviously a good look there for Vontaze Burfict. I do want to give Brian a shout-out in the comments section. You know, I always am not sure how to pronounce Qatar, Qatar. I never really know. Brian is saying it's Qatar. Brian, I'm going to listen to you. I apologize. Thank you for that correction. It is Qatar, not Qatar, but maybe, you know, it's something totally different. Who knows? My geology back in high school was just B+-ish. All right, so Vontaze Burfict, 4-game suspension for him. What's the latest on Odell Beckham Jr.? Now, he could still be traded, from what I understand. So this is coming from Pro Football Talk here. Mike Florio chiming in on the matter this morning. He's well-versed in the NFL, so I really do trust Mike Florio here in terms of what he reports. So first things first, Odell Beckham Jr. reported for off-season workouts. Good first step. And he checked in with doctors and kind of went through the process there. That is far from an indication, by the way, that Odell Beckham Jr. will not sit out OTAs and training camp, because he very much still could. He could still sit out the entire 2018 season. Now, let me just say this off the bat. There is no way, at least from what I understand, that the Giants let Odell Beckham Jr. walk and, just trade him away. Because you look at the offense after Odell, it's an older Brandon Marshall. Yes, an Evan Ingram that's, a solid tight end there. And Sterling Shepard, who's coming off a season with injuries. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. thinks he deserves to be paid $18 million at least on a yearly basis. I understand that. He is a superstar wide receiver. He deserves to get paid. He deserves to get paid more than what he's going to get paid in 2018, at least right now, which is $8.5 million. That's less than Dez Bryant there, Cowboys fans, by the way. So now is the time for GM Dave Gettleman to figure this out. And not just Gettleman here. John Mara's got to get into a conference room with Odell and go through these negotiations. With that said, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is not ruling out a potential trade. Now, I'm trying to think through my head here, who would actually reach out and ask for a trade with Odell Beckham Jr.? The Rams won't, because they have Brandon Cooks now. 49ers might. They have the draft capital. They have the salary cap space. So keep an eye on that. But I don't think it's entirely likely. I think actually it's likelier they go for Dez Bryant if Dez is cut. Let me know in the reaction poll if you think there's any chance Odell gets traded. Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. And it's tough to predict. But I am certainly leaning towards the direction of Odell's not getting traded. Dave Gettleman, one of the finer GMs out there. But I am watching this because if Odell gets PO'd and he sits out 2018, this will be a botch by the Giants leadership out there. So, I don't know. It's just something that I'm tracking here with Odell Beckham Jr. It's obviously a story I will continue to present to you guys here on the Cam Rogers Show. Bobby saying he thinks he stays. Brian, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, A.J. Green, good. Of course they're good. I think they're all kind of on that same level there. In fact, it'd be interesting to see the comparison of contracts after Odell Beckham Jr. gets that extension. Antonio Brown right now is the leader in terms of payment among wide receivers. Odell wants to get paid more than Antonio Brown. There's no doubt about that. So we're seeing quite an influx of comments here. I've got my broadcast right on my laptop here. Dominique says, keep Dez. Well, we're going to get to Dez in a matter of moments, so stay tuned for that. Let's first check in with Quentin Nelson here. He recently visited with the Chicago Bears after the Notre Dame local pro day. Now, I love Quentin Nelson. I could talk about Quentin until the sun goes down. He's a true road grader, fantastic pass protector. I like him in any scheme, man, zone blocking, it doesn't matter. Obviously would fill a need for the Chicago Bears considering Josh Sitton was recently released. He's now a member of the Miami Dolphins. And you look at the depth chart here, yeah, they got Kyle Long on one side at guard, but they used Earl Watford at times last year. He wasn't really good. Bradley Sowell doesn't inspire too much confidence either at the guard position. You bring in Quentin Nelson. He is a day one starter. The Bears select at number 8 overall in the draft. They could go wide receiver, but I'm telling you, if they go wide receiver, that is an ultimate reach. And, we'll see what happens there. They did recently lose Cam Meredith, so that maybe feeds into the narrative that the Bears could go wide receiver at number 8, but Calvin Ridley isn't worthy of being drafted there. Sutton isn't either. EQ St. Brown, the list goes on. None of these guys are worthy of a top 10 pick, at least in my opinion. So in terms of offensive linemen, it's Quentin Nelson, drop off, drop off, drop off, drop off, and then the Mike McGlincheys and the Connor Williams of the world and Isaiah Wynns of the world. That's where I'm at in terms of offensive line rankings here. So Dominique, Nelson's a beast. Absolutely, Dominique, I agree with you there. Constantine saying he's the only offensive lineman worth talking about this year. You know, we usually don't talk about guards this much. But when you watch the tape, I dare you all to try to figure out any weaknesses in this guy, any bad plays, any botched blocks. Guy is so clean, so good, and quick too. A little bit on the heavier side in terms of zone blocking, but I think, you know, he can be plugged in anywhere and be an effective guard. And the Bears are certainly looking into him. All right, so stay tuned on that. All right, folks, you're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. You got a question at all, be sure to let me know in the comments section as I have been doing. Been giving you guys some shout-outs here. We got Michael chiming in the comments section. Hopefully Dez sticks around the next 2 to 3 years. We'll get to Dez in a matter of moments, but first, we are sponsored by AutoList. Head on to Autolist.com. Get that car shopping done in a flash. Find that new or used car out there through their fantastic array of products. Save yourself so much time when you're searching for that new or used car out there. Don't go to the dealership. Don't surf a million sites. Autolist.com, the way to go. All right, folks, Cam Rogers coming at you. Today is the day. Jerry versus Dez. The meeting is going down. And here's what I know. The expectation is the Dallas Cowboys leadership will be saying to Dez Bryant, we want you to take a pay cut. Now, however Dez Bryant responds to that will be the news of the day. It's either going to be, sure, I'll take the pay cut. I will remain with America's team. I will be a Dallas Cowboy in 2018. The alternative is no. I want to get paid my $12.5 million that I'm due in 2018, and you're either going to have to cut me or deal with it. And that's when we could hear the news that Dez Bryant could get cut and would be released by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dez has a $16.5 million cap hit, which is, in my opinion, quite significant for someone who hasn't eclipsed 1,000 yards with Dak as the quarterback there for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, let me just say this, and I'm already thinking about everybody ready to send in their comments on YouTube and Facebook Live and all of this. I understand football is the ultimate team sport. It's not just Dez Bryant for the reasons of his struggles. It's the pass protection from a year ago. Chaz Green at left tackle, are you kidding me? It's the ball placement of Dak Prescott. It's the suspension of Zeke Elliott and the lack of run success because of that. So I understand that, folks. But at the same time, Dez Bryant is a $12.5 million man, and he needs to play at a $12.5 million level. He did not do that last year. So in that vein, Jerry is saying, we need to get to a level where we are getting the return on our investment. And at this juncture, we are not. Todd Archer of ESPN noted that Dez's name has actually been thrown around in trade discussions as well. I'm not going to buy too much into that. I don't think Dez gets traded. Now, obviously, the Cowboys have been working behind the scenes here to kind of bolster their wide receiver depth chart. They made a bid to sign Sammy Watkins. They bring in Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson. There's also been buzz that the Cowboys could go with DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley with the number 19 overall pick. And oh, by the way, the player comp for DJ Moore, Sammy Watkins, a wide receiver that the Cowboys recently tried to sign. So Jerry understandably feels that Dez is just not producing to the salary level that he wants. And at the end of the day, guys, as much as Jerry may love Dez Bryant, and as much as you, Dallas Cowboys fans and NFL fans in general, may love Dez Bryant, it comes down to a business. It comes down to financials. The Cowboys are in the second worst salary cap situation in the league. However they can free up salary cap space, they will try to do it because they don't want to be strapped here, as we head into the draft. Since signing a 5-year, $70 million contract in 2015, Bryant has not recorded more than 69 catches and 838 yards in a season. All right, so Forget the idea of the Cowboys moving on from Dez from a symbolic standpoint, because that has been part of my argument before. The Cowboys may just want to move on from the Dez Bryant era. Stephen Jones once called him a distraction. All right? Look at the financials. If the Cowboys designate Dez as a post-June 1st cut, they'd save $8.5 million. There'd be $4 million in dead money, which is way more than a pre-June 1st cut, which really wouldn't be very much savings at all. There'd actually be a solid amount of dead money there. If the Cowboys anticipate drafting wide receiver DJ Moore, for example, who has Sammy Watkins type traits, you know, it's all kind of pointing towards Dez Bryant being released. Let's face it, we could be heading towards a situation where Dez Bryant is a free agent and he's looking for a new team. So here's what I have for you guys watching the Cam Rogers show right now. I have my top 5 teams for Dez Bryant if he is indeed cut. So what I'm going to do is I will go team by team. And I will start off with the best fit and kind of go down the list here. So checking in at number 1, the Baltimore Ravens, for a few reasons here. First of all, Joe Flacco needs all the help he possibly can get because the aerial attack for the Ravens a year ago was not good. Now, they have addressed that a little bit with the addition of Michael Crabtree and John Brown. John Brown has an injury history, and Michael Crabtree, you know, sometimes that is the case of the drops. Outside of those 2 receivers, the Ravens have Chris Moore and Brashad Perriman, who's a bust. Dez is the prototypical physical receiver that I feel Joe Flacco loves. Think back to the Ravens' 2012 Super Bowl campaign. Who was that physical receiver for Joe Flacco? Anquan Boldin. Dez Bryant can have that Anquan Boldin type of role for the Baltimore Ravens, where Flacco throws the football up, Dez does the box out basketball type of play, brings it in for a reception, for a touchdown, whatever the case may be. So I really do like the Ravens here as my top team for Dez Bryant. Now, the Ravens don't have a ton of salary cap space. Now, so they're going to have to, you know, maneuver here to create some. But perhaps Dez Bryant sees an opportunity with the Ravens and Joe Flacco, a former Super Bowl MVP, and maybe things can work out. Now, some people may disagree with me. You got, let's see, Constantine saying Joe Flacco only has a deep ball. Dez can't work with him. The New York Jets can afford him. You got Jay. Oh, Jay's watching the show if he doesn't drop it. Yes, that's a very good point, Jay. Thank you for commenting on the program. Steven, your list, Packers, Broncos, Ravens, Redskins, and Giants. All right, so we do agree on the Ravens there. We disagree on all the other teams. I'll get to my other teams in a matter of seconds here. But the Baltimore Ravens are my top team for Dez Bryant, if he is indeed cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to team number 2 here. Staying in the AFC, the New England Patriots. So the Patriots recently traded away Brandon Cooks. I understand they signed Jordan Matthews, but that guy had like 4 surgeries last year. So, yeah. Or at least 4 injuries, a couple surgeries. Now, I think Dez would be a very nice fit for New England because you have Julian Edelman already there. You got Kevin Hogan as well. These guys are solid, creating separation. Dez could be that physical receiver that New England needs. Because the problem with New England sometimes is their receivers get roughed up a little bit in press coverage. And we've seen that before in past games with the Denver Broncos, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the list goes on. I think this would be such a Belichick move to sign Dez Bryant. And if Dez wants a ring now, New England makes a lot of sense for me. Remember, Patriots fans, Brandon Lloyd and Chad Ochocinco and all these guys coming on over to New England. Dez makes sense to me in terms of that kind of formula there. So I got the Patriots at number 2. Yes, Brian, Patriots at number 2. I saw your comment there. Let's go to number 3 here. The Seattle Seahawks. After Doug Baldwin, you tell me who's capable at wide receiver. Tyler Lockett. They got McAvoy and Marcus Johnson coming over from a trade. Yeah, doesn't instill a lot of confidence. We're still waiting on Tyler Lockett really to emerge. Really hasn't happened yet. So Dez could kind of be the security blanket, red zone threat here that Russell Wilson could utilize, especially with Jimmy Graham moving on out. So I could see Seattle being a very interesting destination there for Dez Bryant. And Seattle actually really isn't in the greatest salary cap situation either. They're kind of in the same boat as the Baltimore Ravens. But I think Seattle can make it work. And now it has to be whether or not Dez Bryant, who's from Texas, by the way, wants to go up to the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of a different climate up there. That's up to him. But this area has very nice weather. And we're talking about Santa Clara. And I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to you, Marcus. Here is your team. They're at number 4 on my list. Now, I will say that wide receiver is not a big-time need here. And I have them here mostly from a salary cap perspective. They got $47 million in salary cap space. Dez could still make his $12.5 million that he's looking for. So that's the good news there. Now, the 49ers have Goodwin Garcon and Trent Taylor solidified at wide receiver. So I'm thinking to myself, the need isn't huge, and I really don't know what the role would be for Dez Bryant in this Kyle Shanahan offense. I think maybe Dez would see less reps than, say, if he were on the New England Patriots or Baltimore Ravens. But if Dez wants to get paid, and if he's buying into the Jimmy G hype, which is very attractive considering you've got Jerick McKinnon in the backfield there, an offensive line that's coming together, a secondary that is certainly coming together as well with Richard Sherman, etc. I got the 49ers checking in at number 4. Number 5 now, the Indianapolis Colts. This is where there is, 1, a need, and 2, a salary cap situation that is very affordable here for Dez Bryant. The Colts have a lot of salary cap space, a ton. And I believe it's like the second most of the NFL. And outside of T.Y. Hilton, they have Ryan Grant and Chester Rogers. Okay, doesn't exactly inspire confidence if you are Frank Reich there, the head coach of the Colts. Right? I mean, you just think about it. After T.Y., there's a drop-off. Bring in Dez. You have 2 wide receivers that both do different things in a good way. T.Y. Hilton down the field. You got Dez Bryant, the physicality on the outside. So for Indianapolis here, I think it makes a lot of sense. I got them at 5 because they've been quiet so far in free agency. GM Chris Ballard really hasn't done all that much. But we'll see what happens. Let's summarize my list. If you're just tuning into the Cam Rogers Show, we do appreciate you guys coming along for the ride here. There it is. If Dez Bryant is cut today, those are my 5 teams. You got the Ravens, Patriots, Seahawks, 49ers, and the Indianapolis Colts, 1 through 5. Jay says he can see the Colts as well, maybe the Jets. The Jets have the salary cap space. They could certainly make a move there. Robbie Anderson, he's got legal troubles that he's got to deal with. Quincy Enunwa coming off an injury. So some unknowns there for the Jets. So very good point there, Jay. We do appreciate you guys chiming in here. Who's going to throw it to him for the Colts? Austin, very good point. Andrew Luck, is he going to play quarterback or what? Like, Austin, I'm like kind of concerned that Andrew Luck may never see the football field again. Like, it's one of those dire situations where I just don't know what's going to happen. He's been beaten and battered for years, and he may not see the field in 2018 either. Hopefully, that's not the case, but it's a good point. Appreciate the comment there, my man. All right, you're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I am Cam Rogers. We thank you for coming along for the ride on this Friday morning. We're sponsored by Autolist. Head on to Autolist.com. Get that car shopping done in a flash. I'm telling you, it saves you so much time. Don't surf a million websites. Don't go to the car dealership. Get it done on Autolist.com. They're sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show here today. 90 episodes of the Cam Rogers Show. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. All right, 10 minutes left in the program. What I do have prepared for you guys is an NBA playoffs preview. So that's what I want to go through. Unfortunately, probably won't be able to get to the LeBron James segment. I had my top teams for LeBron James and free agency. We can always kick that can down the road for next week. So keep an eye out for that next week for LeBron. But let's talk about the NBA playoffs. You guys ready? Very highly anticipated. Let's take a look at the bracket here in the East. And we've got Raptors, Wizards, 1 and 8. We've got 76ers and Heat, that is a low-key, very interesting matchup. Cavs and Pacers, Celtics and Bucks. So what I'll do, folks, I'll go team by team here, give you my thoughts and prognostication on all of these matchups. Let's start things off with Raptors versus Wizards. So for the Raptors, I think they could be a dominant team, or they could be the Washington Nationals and the NBA. It's one or the two. Now, the Wizards have been imploding publicly recently, multiple incidents of calling out players on the team in the press and or social media, so the Raptors kind of have the PR advantage here. They changed their offense a little bit to shoot more threes, pass the ball more. The bench has been arguably the best in the NBA. If Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan aren't up to their usual best and the Raptors bench kind of flounders here, maybe the Wizards have a chance in this game. But I think the Raptors should have no problem. I love the guard duo that they have. I just mentioned them, Lowry and DeRozan. You got a Ginobili there as well. I like them a lot. Wizards, meanwhile, from a continuity standpoint, I really don't know if it's there. Right? I don't know if this team is meshing at the right time. So we'll see what happens. Otto Porter Jr., a player to watch out for there with the Wizards. All right, so you see the X factors as I go through some of these teams, so keep an eye out on those players as you watch the NBA playoffs. Let's go to the next matchup here real quick, Celtics versus Bucks. Now, the Celtics are without the top two players on the entire team in Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. That kind of puts them behind the 8 ball. The team has gone 14-10 without Kyrie, 41-17 with Kyrie. Now, Marcus Smart could return late in April. That's some kind of confidence booster, I guess, for Celtics fans out there. But despite the injury, Celtics are a good defensive team. Meanwhile, you got the Bucks. They're back for the second consecutive playoff appearance. And the Bucks, by the way, are a team I think that can flash greatness at times, and then at other times just show pure defensive inability. Like, their defense has been pretty bad at times this season. And that's what I'm concerned about here, which could pave the way for the Celtics to score more than probably what they should. I think the Celtics are going to win this series. They should win in theory, but like I said, the Bucks can certainly flash some magic, so we'll see what happens there with Giannis and the Greek Freak. Next matchup on my list, 76ers and the Heat. This is an intriguing one at that. We got the 76ers, a fast, defensive-minded team, while the Heat like to play a slow and grind-it-out type of style. 76ers are young with only a couple veterans with postseason experience, while the Heat here are almost certainly postseason experienced, almost entirely, actually. So kind of differential there, and the 76ers are riding some serious momentum here, a 16-game win streak. So the question is, can they carry that momentum into the postseason? Now, Embiid is likely to miss Game 1 with an orbital fracture. We'll monitor that for you guys. Now, I think this is a really intriguing matchup, and I think that because the Miami Heat are the perfect team to just stop the 76ers right in their tracks. Stop the momentum that they have, the slow and grinded-out style. If Miami Heat can kind of dictate this series to their game plan, I think the Sixers are in trouble here. So keep an eye out on that there in the East. Let's go to the final matchup here, the Cleveland Cavs, the Indiana Pacers. Lance Stevenson, is he going to be blowing in LeBron James' ear? We'll see about that. But for the Pacers here, an interesting team. They could certainly sweep the Cavs. Because for the Cavs here, it's been LeBron James kind of carrying the rest of the team on his back. LeBron logged the most minutes in the NBA this season, the oldest player in the NBA to ever do that. Rodney Hood missed the Cavaliers' final 2 games with an Achilles injury, but he is expected to return, which is obviously important from a chemistry and continuity standpoint. But the inconsistency in terms of the Cavs in general just does concern me. And I'm wondering if that's going to drag on into the playoffs. Larry Nance is going to have to pitch in off the bench a little bit. Now, Victor Oladipo, it could be the Oladipo show here for the Pacers. And if that is the case, the Cavs are in big-time trouble. So, Cavs, Pacers, 4 versus 5. It's not my favorite matchup, but something to certainly keep an eye out for in the East. Certainly better than Celtics in their matchup they have with the Bucks, just in my opinion. More star power in this matchup, obviously. Let's go to the West now, and let's check in with the Rockets taking on the T-Wolves of Minnesota. So Timberwolves in the playoffs for the first time in 14 years. Getting Jimmy Butler back after a 17-game absence obviously is important. He had a knee injury that he was dealing with there. But the Rockets should have no problem here. I mean, it's Harden who could win the MVP. It's Clint Capella who led the NBA in field goal percentage. So all that put together, the Rockets should cruise to a series victory here. And, you know, the only way that the Timberwolves have a chance at an upset, it's got to be the Karl Anthony Towns show. KAT has to go off, like has to dominate the entire series. And that's a lot to ask here. And oh, by the way, at the same time, the Rockets have to go ice cold, I think, from beyond the arc for that to go down. So Timberwolves, tough uphill climb here against the Rockets. All right, let's go to the Golden State Warriors taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year. Warriors are just 17-14 without Steph Curry. He is going to be out for the series. And the Spurs are going to be without Kawhi Leonard for likely the entire playoffs, but we'll see what happens there. So both teams missing some star power here for any chance for San Antonio to get this done. Greg Popovich will have to coach out of his mind, and the Spurs will have to execute to perfection. LaMarcus Aldridge will need some help. It can't be the Aldridge show. So for San Antonio, a good defensive team, kind of struggled offensively this past year. It's going to be very difficult for them to take on a trio of all-stars, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant. You know, we talk about Steph, and he's out, but yeah, there's like 3 all-stars right there for OKC. Tough matchup. Portland versus New Orleans. I want to get to that matchup real quick here. Very, very fun series here. So 3 seed taking on the 6 seed. The Blazers come in with elite play from Damian Lillard. Has been unreal since the All-Star break. Meanwhile, the Pelicans enter the postseason by way of Anthony Davis in his MVP kind of season. Just imagine if they had Cousins, by the way. So the Blazers first have to understand, you don't stop Anthony Davis, you limit Anthony Davis. And if the Blazers can just play their game and obviously not lay down to AD, they should have no problem moving on. I think the Blazers are a really solid team, a low-key team that can make a big-time run in the NBA playoffs. I think the Pelicans are not quite there yet. Maybe next year, though. But good for them for getting into the postseason there as a 6th seed. And I know they're playing for their late owner there in Benson, so a nice little story there. All right, let's get to Oklahoma City versus Utah. How about this one here? This is an interesting matchup. You got the Jazz coming in blazing hot, winning 17 of their last 21 games to clinch that 5 seed. For the Thunder, it's the Westbrook, it's the Anthony, and it's the George trifecta. So you got that going for OKC, which all in all worked pretty well last year, or I guess in the regular season. The Thunder need Westbrook to be Westbrook. And if he continues his play, I think the Thunder should have no problem here taking care of the Utah Jazz. Now, the Jazz could use some quality points from Jay Crowder. If he gets on a hot streak and Donovan Mitchell performs at his utmost potential, this could be a 7-game series. I mean, we could be facing something like that. So keep an eye out on that matchup there. That's something that I'm really looking forward to at that there in the Western Conference. So that's your rundown of the NBA playoffs. One final look there, the Western Conference matchups for you as the playoffs get started tomorrow. And it's going to be probably one of the more exciting NBA postseasons that we have seen in some time. So very looking forward to all of these matchups here. Of course, keep it on the Cam Rogers Show with all the latest highlights and analysis. All right, folks, one final note. We're sponsored by Autolist. Head on to Autolist.com. Get that car shopping done in a flash. I will see you Monday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Be there. Take care, everybody.